So I'm going to be doing some pro bono work to test out a live edit setup. So let's check it out.
So last week I did some free work for the AAF, which stands for the American Advertising Federation. It's a Las Vegas chapter here in Las Vegas, and they're focused on advertising, marketing, and communications for professionals looking for advice in that area. So I have some notes I'm going to be looking at, so don't mind me if I keep looking off to the screen, looking at some notes. So it helps me to keep these videos organized and on track. So let's talk about using free work as an opportunity to test out new gear and build up your portfolio. So occasionally I'll take on pro bono jobs if it allows me for the opportunity to test out some new gear or a new concept or some new strategy that I'm trying to create in terms of trying to sell it for another client that may see my service as a value or anything that I'm producing as a value. So what I did was I reached out to the AAF. I saw that they had this ad on Instagram that they were advertising for a panel that they were talking about AI and marketing. And I offered my services initially to get paid, trying to see if they had some sponsorship dollars allocated for a media video production for their event. But they didn't have any they didn't have budget for video production, so I offered to give them a free video, and I was testing out this new Blackmagic A10 Mini ISO video switcher that I wanted to use, and I haven't actually used it in a real environment, so I really want to I wanted really to use this as an opportunity to kind of test out that switcher. And also I brought on my friend Calvin, and he was able to come in with his cameras to really use up all the ports in the switcher.
How you like the setup? Oh yeah. So I got my whole desk right here. Laptop. I got monitor for the little TV I had. And then I got my switcher here. So I have all 4 cameras.
Is it is it just to know what it looks like, or is it also
Both, and it records as well.
as you like cut?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a 4-camera switcher. I have 2 myself, 2 FX3s, and Calvin brought in his 2 Sonys. One was a point and shoot. I can't remember the models, but I can give you the models later in some point at this video. But he has 2 Sony cameras, which can match color profile. So yeah, that was great to have. So really doing this gig as pro bono was great for me to practice the workflow of using the ATM switcher, the setup, breakdown, what it's like to actually use it during the production, during the actual filming of the panel. So it was just great to be able to understand what it takes to actually do something of this production. So I can get a sense of what to charge for labor, cost of the convenience of on-site live editing, and yeah, it was just hopefully something that I could potentially pitch to future clients that are looking for a service like this. So over like the past 5 to 3 years, I've accumulated all of this gear that I currently have. So the the long HDMI cables, the switcher, the cameras, the lenses, the tripods, even to the gaff tape, all the stuff, all this gear that I have now, I've accumulated over the past 3 to 5 years. And I'm starting to be able to fully utilize all of the gear that I have on a production such as this. So it's great that most of the gear I have is just not sitting in storage or in a closet somewhere. I'm actually able to utilize this gear. So hopefully I'm able to do more productions like this. Another bonus for doing a pro bono gig like this was the opportunity to network So I've met a couple people at this panel. I didn't really get the chance to really talk to a lot of people because I was so busy with doing the work. But yeah, I was able to connect with a few people. The guy that is, his name is Simon. I think he's in charge of the Vegas chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But
Hey, how's it going? Good, how are you? Good to see you. Jay, Jamal. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. So are you on AV?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. So you have your own.
he was very helpful, and he's also doing the AV. So he actually, there was no, so I did this. The panel was at the Autonomous Hotel. It's a new hotel that opened up in Las Vegas. But yeah, they didn't have any AV set up in their room, so it was great that Simon was able to come in and bring in his speakers. He had an audio board that I can plug in my Rode wireless mic into to capture audio. Then I also had a Zoom F3 recorder, field recorder. So I plugged that into one of the speakers as well to get the outline of all of the mics for the speakers that they were using. So that was really great that Simon was able to help me, and he really liked the work that I produced. I haven't even really hadn't had the chance to show him before I even sent him off the video. He was like, "Oh, you have a really professional setup." So he really liked that I had all this gear. It kind of just gives off a very professional sense of you know what you do if you know what you're doing. If you have all this gear and you bring it on site, and I organized it well. I had my I had the gaff tape, and I taped all the lines down for the HDMI cord. So I was had a really well set up. Prepared setup for this panel. So he really liked that aspect, and he just asked me, for my card for more information to potentially get me onto future projects. So that was really great. So the process of the setup was very long, honestly. If I had a production assistant, it definitely would have gone quicker, but it took me about 3 to 4 hours. I got there at 3 p.m. and the panel didn't start until like 3:45. I'm at 6:45, close to 7. So it was a long setup, but I got it done. But yeah, I think definitely having a production assistant would speed up the setup process, setup time for something like this. So I definitely think I probably would have taken an hour and a half if I had a production assistant. And also, I forgot my cart. I have it's not really a cart, but it's a dolly that can turn into a cart, and I can load up my gear and take everything all in one trip instead of having to take 1 or 2 to 3 trips. This actually surprisingly only took me 2 trips to bring all the gear in by hand. Most of the stuff was on wheels, and I had stuff I can put on my back. They had a backpack or a strap on it, so I can put it on my back and carry it in with me. But yeah, surprisingly, it only took me 2 trips to load everything in. But for the most part, it was a pretty efficient setup, load in. I had a table. Actually, before even going into the filming of it, I actually set up everything at home, and I had plugged in everything. I make sure that everything that was right on the software side of things. Make sure all the connections worked. Make sure audio was clear and captured. So that was something that I did, and it really helped me out to understand the process of what it was like to plug everything in and what the setup would look like. So it was good to do that before I went out to actually set it up on site. But talking a little bit more about my feelings about the process of doing something like this, I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Doing this new service, this new setup out in the field, it was a little nerve-wracking, especially doing it all by myself. So I was like, oh, do I have what I actually need on site? And there were some things that I wish I had, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later, but it was definitely nervous, I'm not gonna lie. It was a nervous feeling that I had initially. But I am excited about doing something that is going to speed up the editing workflow. Where for filming something that is multicam and a long video production process. So, you know, the length of this video would be an hour plus. So going through all the footage from, you know, 2 to 4 different camera angles is definitely something that is time consuming. So being able to actually do a live edit on site with a video switcher, it saves so much time. So I highly recommend that you integrate. If you do multicam setups, if you have a podcast, or if you're filming panels, or if you're filming presentations, I highly recommend that you invest into a video switcher that can record, you know, either isolated tracks or just, you know, for the ISO version, or get the ATEM Mini Pro version. Definitely recommend that you are able to, you know, record everything on site, so it just saves you a bunch of time, reduce the hassle and headache of having to edit something that is multicam. And I guess I was a little bit more frustrated with the lack of anticipation of what Calvin cameras could have potentially needed in terms of like the right gear, or the right attachments and adapters that I needed. So I wish I was a little bit more prepared for that, but again, this was pro bono work, so I wasn't going to try to put too much thought into that behind the process. So yeah, I was a little frustrated with myself, but I'm not going to beat myself up over about it, because again, this was free work and I'm not going to worry about it too much. But this is good to know for the future. So a lot of the lessons that I've learned really falls along with my frustrations of not having the correct gear with me for this project. So it definitely helps to have the correct pieces of gear in terms of like adapters, or maybe even SD cards that I really needed for Calvin's cameras. So I think having just a consistency of cameras to use, so having one of the nice to haves is to have, 4 FX3s. I currently have 2. So being able to have a consistency of cameras really helps with making sure that I have everything that I need currently to, when I do potentially go into getting 2 more FX3s, I have all the cables that I need for them. It's just that when I'm using different models, Sony models, it's a little bit harder to anticipate the needs for what I need for those different models. So stuff like getting micro HDMI, 2 HDMI adapters. I forgot my power strip, so I didn't have additional supplies. So you'll see stuff just kind of hanging off the wall, like directly attached to, from that wall outlet, is going onto the table. It's just like the cables are hanging, so it just turned into a little bit bad cable management when it comes to the power supply of things. I didn't have any additional extension cords. Only brought 1 extension cord with me, so that was a little frustrating. I didn't have a high enough SD card, which I thought I did when it comes to capturing 4K recording from one of Calvin's cameras. I thought I had some pretty high SD cards, but I guess I didn't, so I'll have to double check that the next time, or buy a new SD card for Calvin cameras so I can record 4K footage the next time around if I happen to don't have access to 2 other FX3s that I can use. And then also just I didn't really able to get the chance to explore settings on simultaneously recording from Calvin's camera. So I was running into this issue to where, and I actually later, figured out. Let me get into the story of it first. So first, I was able to not simultaneously record when I was going through the setup with Calvin's camera. I should have had him come in a little bit earlier. I probably would have figured this out, but I wasn't able to. What I thought what I couldn't do was simultaneously record while having the HDMI plugged into the switcher from one of Calvin's cameras. I thought I wasn't able to record internally and then also record onto the switcher. But I came to realize, like, oh, let me actually figure this out once the panel was done, because we were trying to figure this out like just as they were setting up or as they were starting. So I figured out actually, so Calvin's camera, every time we hit the record button, the screen would black out. So that was what made me thought that I couldn't record simultaneously. But actually it turned out that it just didn't give you a live view as you were recording. So it actually was recording, because when I went into the file, it wasn't a black screen. It was actually filming what was being shown. It's just the preview on the monitor on behind Calvin's camera. It just showed a black screen. But I was able to see Calvin's camera onto my switcher on my multi-view. It's just that the screen on the back of his camera was black. So I was trying to figure out the setting for that to actually show up the live view, which I'll have to figure out for the next time. And I'll have him come a little bit earlier so we can figure that out. But it does actually record simultaneously to the switcher and recording internally into the camera on the SD card. So I figured that out, but I wound up not recording onto internally onto both of Calvin's cameras. So I figured that out after the panel was over. Another lesson is that I didn't probably need a lot of the stuff that was in my cases. So I actually wound up, the next day when I came home, I wound up clearing some of the items that were in my cases. It was a lot of stuff that just went unused. There was just a lot of extra cables, a lot of extra adapters that I had in my case, which, can reduce the weight of, carrying in stuff like that. Obviously, you don't want to be going back and forth with heavy gear. So I reduced some of the items that were in my cases, so that kind of helped. But then also, I would say that this was just kind of like a really great test run for doing something like this. I would like to have some nice to haves when it comes to either improving the workflow or some pieces of gear that I would like to buy for future multicam productions like this. One of them would be investing into risers. I saw that there was like instead of having to buy like a mini platform for a camera, for all 4 cameras, I saw that there was like these stands. I think it was called the Dex stand or something like that. I'll probably put it somewhere on this video to show you what it looks like, but it's essentially an extension of the tripod, and it just raises up the tripod on legs, and it folds out. It looks pretty good in terms of like a product, but it's really expensive. So I want to try to find some alternatives. I looked into buying an extension pole that I can just place onto the base of the tripod plate, then just screwing it into the base of the camera, so that can get some more height over the audience, because I was getting a lot of heads in the video. So I'll definitely have to remember to either, if I don't have that, I'll have to strategically place the cameras where I don't see a lot of heads from the audience members. I would also like to say that investing into a production cart would be really nice. Even though I have a dolly cart, I would like to have something that I can, place gear on and have like a workstation off, I can work off of. That would be really nice, and it just looks a lot more professional than having just like a cart that I have from Home Depot, just wheeling that in. But that's another expense. It's pretty expensive too, but I would love to invest into having a production cart in the future. Obviously, another nice to have is to have 2 additional FX3s to just maintain consistency of camera bodies, and it makes the workflow so much more simple. I don't have to think about having additional adapters. I can just plug in my HDMI cables directly into the cameras, so I don't have to worry about that. And definitely buying an actual monitor. I know that, the TV, the little mini TV worked out totally fine, but it's just me being me and trying, and just me just wanting to invest more into actually having production gear would be very helpful to have an actual monitor for productions like these, for multicam productions. Obviously this is a pro bono gig, but having more crew on site is definitely going to be helpful when it comes to doing productions like this. Having more, having camera operators, having someone actually that knows what to do on a switcher, and having them do graphics and stuff like that, putting assets into the video, baking that into the video, I think it would be so helpful in terms of increasing the level of production for live edits like this, video switching, jobs like this. This would be very helpful. And I think having like a roaming B cam that I could probably paste into the post editing process, post production process would be even better to get more dynamic shots of filming in a space like this, filming in a large space, filming into panels, just getting audience reactions, crowd reactions, just different details when it comes to like actually moving in the physical space and not having the cameras locked off, and just getting locked off shots, even though you can pan and tilt and whatever with the camera on a tripod, but having an actual camera operator roaming around the space, I think it would be really great to get more dynamic shots.
Ooh, that was close. It's the breakdown, man.
Breaking down. That's it. There's not much to it.
Just packing away your gear. That's it. You're getting ready to go home.
But yeah, this will be the first of many videos that I will share when it comes to my thoughts, feelings, lessons, and some nice to haves when it comes to video production. And if you're interested in my work, I live in Las Vegas. I have a video production called Creative Gene Productions. And if you are interested in seeing my work, you can go to creative-gene.com.